Now, I hope you'll forgive me. This is a serious story with an academic background. It concerns a young historian whose major interest was in the history of India, especially India under British rule. And he decided that he would take a new approach and possibly break into the bestseller lists because he would go out to India, he would interview people who had lived through the British Raj in India and had recalled or were able to recall various anecdotes as to how life was at that time. So he arranged to meet an aging colonel, and he found himself travelling well into the heart of the country. And in fact, he found himself in a very remote part of India, far from all city life. But there was, right in front of him, a colonial club. So he went into the colonial club, and there were people there with pink gins, and almost as if nothing had ever changed since the time of British occupation. And he spotted the colonel he was hoping to interview by the number of glasses he had sitting on his own in front of him. So he went in, introduced himself, and he said to the colonel, he said, "We did communicate, you remember, my name is such and such, and you know what I'm about. I'm trying to put together a history of India which will be more hands-on in a sense, in that I will use anecdotes from people like yourself. So could I start asking you a few questions? I might start asking you, for example, by saying, did you go in much for hunting?" Well, of course, the colonel was very glad to cooperate. He'd had a few jars, and he said, "Oh, absolutely." He said, "Yes, we did hunt, in fact, and we did. I remember hunting the tiger." And the historian said, "Well, have you any particular memory of an occasion like that?" And the colonel said, "Oh, yes," he said, "once we cornered this huge blighter, and I went forward, perhaps a little foolishly, but I went forward with my gun, and I got a little too close, and next thing the tiger jumped at me. Roar! Christ, I pissed myself." And the historian said, "Well, I'm not surprised. Anybody would if they saw a tiger jumping at them." And the old colonel said, "No, no, no, no. I don't mean back then. I mean just now when I said roar."